Happy Monday out there, folks. This is Darius Dale here to present our macro minute for Monday, August 29th, 2022. Starting with asset markets, we have stocks down this morning, commodities mixed, crypto flat, dollar up, global bond yields up. Shifting to our market moving headlines. So investors need to get acquainted with phase three of the U.S. monetary policy regime. Recall that phase one was the Fed catching up to market expectations for tightening as they had entered the year well behind the curve on that front. Phase two was the market starting to price in for the Fed the dovish pivot because the market eventually saw the slowdown in economic growth, forcing the Fed to do an about face sometime late this year, early next year. And now we're in phase three, something we've been talking about in 42 Macro Research for the last couple of weeks, which is the Fed is going to have to push back on expectations for a premature pivot and guide the market to a situation where interest rates are higher for longer than market expectations and market pricing currently implies. So the U.S. two-year yield, which is sensitive to expectations around Fed policy, reached 3.47% overnight, which is the highest since the global financial crisis, after Powell at Jackson Hole last Friday flagged the likely need for restrictive monetary policy for some time to curb high inflation. And he also cautioned against loosening monetary conditions prematurely. That is phase three in a nutshell. He also warned against the potential for economic pain for households and businesses. Shifting gears, a tighter Fed means a tighter ECB as well, European Central Bank, to support the euro. So bonds in Europe are tumbling this morning, with Germany's 10-year yield rising as high as 1.5% after a string of European Central Bank officials over the weekend stressed the need to act more forcefully to quash record inflation. Austria's Robert Holtzmann and Dutch colleague Klaus Knot both floated the prospect of an unprecedented 75 basis point rate hike at the ECB September meeting. Executive board member Isabel Schnabel warned against the likelihood of inflation expectations becoming unanchored is uncomfortably high. So you're definitely seeing a ratcheting up of discomfort amongst European policymakers as well, which is something we saw in recent weeks from Federal Reserve officials who began to really forcefully push back against the loosening of financial conditions we've seen really since late June. It's got a sneaky busy week of macro updates. It's obviously the last week of the summer officially for if you work in finance. But you got U.S. consumer confidence on Tuesday. New York Fed President John Williams is speaking on Tuesday as well. You have the ECB governing council members speaking at an event on Tuesday. You got China PMI Wednesday, Europe's August preliminary PMI on Wednesday as well. Russia's Gazprom is set to halt the Nord Stream pipeline gas flows for 3 consecutive days of maintenance on Wednesday. Most likely it's a non-event, but we'll see if there's any shenanigans on the other side of that. Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester speaking on Wednesday. The China's Caixin manufacturing PMIs on Thursday, and then we get the jobs report on Friday, as well as the UK's leadership ballot, the prime minister ballot, that was to close on Friday, and the winner will be announced on September 5th. Big movers this morning at the 10-year nominal German Bund yield up 9 basis points to 1.48%, up 56 basis points month over month, and then NASDAQ 100 off another 1.1% today. It's up 3.1% month over month. Looking at our volatility adjusted momentum signals and probable ranges, you got a U.S. dollar that is still bullish VAMs overbought this morning. Gold bearish VAMs nearly oversold, not quite. 10-year nominal treasury yield that is neutral VAMs overbought this morning. High yield credit spreads bullish VAMs, that's overbought as well. S&P 500 bullish VAMs, that is oversold, deeply oversold, might I add. So we might be getting a leading indicator for a phase transition to neutral VAMs. So that tends to be what happens when you breach the upper boundary, lower boundary of the probable range to a significant degree or a persistent degree. It tends to be a leading indicator that the phase transition, we're going to see a phase transition in the volatility adjusted momentum signal, which is quantitatively linked to the probable ranges. You'll see the probable range bands widen to the downside. You get a negative skew in the probable range, or sorry, you'll go from a bullish, a positive skew in the probable range, which it currently has because it's bullish, to something that's more Gaussian. If it was bearish like the VIX is, you'd have a negative skew in the probable range. But, oh, by the way, the VIX is bearish VAMs and overbought. NASDAQ 100 bullish VAMs, same deal with the S&P, same deal with the NASDAQ and S&P here for the Russell as well. Bitcoin, bearish VAMs, that is nearly oversold, about 2% downside, 14% upside. Ethereum, bearish VAMs, about 4% downside, 22% of upside there. Oh, by the way, it would be pretty nasty drawdown in crypto, pretty quickly. So one thing we call out, and we've been talking about this in our research at 42 Macro, is the S&P 500 U.S. equities have been egregiously overbought relative to the net liquidity function, but we didn't necessarily see the same kind of activity from the perspective of Bitcoin. I would say Ethereum a little bit less, a little bit more so in the camp of the S&P and U.S. equities broadly. But Bitcoin has been sort of, I wouldn't necessarily say sniffing out this entry into phase 3 of monetary policy, but it certainly did participate to the upside. Just on a correlation weighted basis from that front. So I think it was just kind of as it always has been a leading indicator that things weren't all as rosy as the sort of the price action might have seen throughout July and August. Anyway, getting into Shanghai Composite, that is bullish VAMs. That is nearly oversold this morning. WTI crude oil neutral VAMs. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. We're starting to see the slope of the line there change. It's consistent with the slopes of the lines here changing as well. Bloomberg Agricultural Index, that is bearish VAMs overbought. Maybe we're going to start to see a phase transition, at least back to neutral. We'll see. Industrial metals, bearish VAMs, not quite overbought there, but got about 2%, 2.5% upside, 4.9% of downside. So with that, Darius Dale presenting our macro minute for Monday, August 29th, 2022. Sneaky busy week. So mind your P's and Q's here. I know it's late August, but as we see, risk can happen suddenly and all at once. So best of luck out there today. Cheers.